What's poppin', y'all? Lil Uzi Vert, I know he's kicking it in some New York studio or penthouse with his feet up, enjoying his hit, and laughing at the following clip I'm going to play you guys from one of his biggest haters.
Oh, now things are tougher. You know what I'm saying? We're just ELR. We don't even have the cosign of the heritage logo. You know what I'm saying? We're not traditional media anymore. We're just some people on YouTube, so it's a lot different.
Hey, don't
That
say
is
it like
true.
that.
They may act different out here.
No, Laura, I'm telling you,
I
people are
know.
acting different.
I know.
You haven't experienced people acting different?
Yes,
Somebody I've known for 30 years the other day, I was talking to them about some artists they work with and me wanting them on this show.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, yeah, send me some details about the show.
Nah.
We gotta send out a press kit.
First thing we have to make a note of is how positive Laura Stiles is, man. Like, she's telling him, like, no, it's like, come on now. And also, there was another podcast that they did, I think it was maybe a month or two ago, where he was just going in disrespectfully, Ebro, on someone, and she's like, why are you doing that? Like, that's too much. Like, stop doing that. But here they're talking about, like, yeah, we gotta hand out press kits, we gotta tell people more info about the show. Yeah, what the hell? Like, that they're surprised that they have to do what everybody else has done over the past God knows how long. Like, thank God that you don't have to show up to the hood like Zach TV, and hell, even Sean Cotton of Say Cheese TV in the beginning of his career. This guy was showing up to random places, or 16 shot him when he was doing his thing. I hope he's still doing well. But this guy was showing up to Chicago hoods, filming just to get content, filming interviews, and they weren't doing no BS or anything like that. Zach TV, like, unfortunately, God rest his soul, he passed away from a situation like that. So yeah, you got to send out press kits, or you got to tell people about the show. I think he's just gassing it. They just want to know, like, yo, where is the show? What is it doing? And what's going on? And here you see three different people. This is like a COVID setup. They've got three different people. You've got Ebro, who looks like he's in a hotel room with the background and everything. And Laura Stiles, she's got an pristine setup. Now, a lot of people want to clown the setup. I don't think the setup is that big of a deal. Like, if you're cool, if you're interesting, if you've got motion, people want to mess with you. People want to talk to you, especially if they respect you, even if it's just online or digitally. However, when you have set a standard and you've been associated with a production team and a crew and a radio station and all of that, and that's part of your brand, and let's keep in mind, like, during the week, Ebro is at not High 97 anymore. He's at Apple Music. So you're with Apple, you have this brand and setup, and that's what people associate you with. That's got to reflect on in the content. Like, for me, what expectation do people have of me? I'm lazy. You know, I'm talking about, I'm going to put a link in the description or in the pinned comment. Half the time I forget to do that. I talk about a topic for another day. That day never comes for the most part. So the expectation of me is like, hey man, if he gets to it, he gets to it. If he does it, he does it. There's no setup here. There's no anything. At least the audio, even some people be complaining about the audio. The audio files here be complaining about the audio. But listen, man, you take what you get. That's the expectation from me, right? The expectation of an academics is the guy's in a basement streaming with his mic peaking, and he doesn't fix his audio even though he can. That's one thing that I don't get either. So there isn't, but you know, he's got his own setup when he's doing interviews. But these guys, they come from, you can't go down. You can only go up or stay the same level. So they're looking at him like, oh, well, what the hell is this janky setup? Where's the person going to show up to? You guys don't even like collectively come together to do anything. I remember they were talking about, like, yo, we're going to come on here. We're going to take over.
Nah, bro.
That's where we're at now.
It's underrated. People get weird, man. And Ebro made a great point yesterday. I hit you guys up to be like, yo, how cool is Rhea? She immediately hits the collab. She got 7 million followers. All good. I got you. These artists that we've known for years, you try to collab them on something, they act like their Instagram's so damn precious. They can't accept the collab to promote. That's what the trade-off is here. And Ebro, you made the point. Yo, rappers may be among the weirdest of people.
How
I don't
about
know why
this?
people get so weird, but they do.
No, rappers are weirdos, bro.
Now suddenly they're talking about rappers are weirdos. And oh, this person I knew for 30 years. Yeah, what kind of relationship did this person have with you for 30 years? It was a professional relationship. And I think these guys are starting to realize that nobody ever liked them. Or not nobody, but the majority of people, like rappers, artists that went to their platforms, they didn't really like them. And now if an artist is going to a platform, they're usually going to somebody that they like, or somebody that they have respect for, or somebody that they looked up. Like, for example, a Sway, right? A Sway in the morning, Sway Calloway. A lot of people were excited to go on Sway, especially rappers. They're like, man, I can't wait to go on Sway. Sway is such a good vibe. I'm going to freestyle up there. But a lot of like Hot 97, it was antagonistic towards most of them. Now, I would say that Ebro was definitely, if you were a certain type of rapper, you were feeling like you were hopping in a cage with a lion. And then you had Rosenberg, who has put on a ton of rappers, given a lot of people opportunities. Like this guy, Marlon Craft. Well, he actually did a Sway interview, Sway interview and freestyle. That's how I first heard about him. He's a guy that's having a second coming of his career. But Rosenberg put on for that guy a lot too. But Rosenberg, he's just a glazer. It's just, I think it's a lot of people didn't like him either. Or maybe, I wouldn't say that a lot of rappers didn't like Rosenberg. They just didn't mess with him like that. Like they just felt like maybe he comes off as a bit of a glazer, which I think he thinks he's showing love, but a lot of rappers take it as glazing. And rappers are weird, but they're not weird for this, because there is so much optionality out there now for them to choose from. And let's be real, most of these interview clips that are going to be used as part of press runs are going to be turned into clips for short form. So the long form doesn't really matter too much or as much. So they can choose, hey, do I want to sit down with Gilbert Arenas, or do I want to sit down with Shannon Sharp, or do I want to sit down with somebody that I enjoy and I watch their show and I understand the setup? Like Academics, for instance, he said that A$AP Rocky requested him specifically to do an interview with, because he watches his stuff, he messes with this stuff, and he was like, yo, I want to hop on his stuff. So now the artists are choosing, they've got the options, and the options are wider. The labels can choose as well, but they're just going to defer to the rapper for the most part, if they're smart, because that gives the best content and the best interview, because that person knows them too. Hot 97, for the most part, for these guys, there was a lack of optionality. And this is the thing when he says, or there were only like 3 radio stations, we saw the whole setup. We saw the whole Sway. You do Hot 97, you do, what's the other one? A Power 105, right? Breakfast Club. And that means you made it. Once you did those 3 platforms, you were smoking, you were popping, you were doing your thing. And they were so used to that now that they actually have to compete with other people, they're like, yo, I thought all this, we don't have the heritage brand behind us. Yeah, people were doing interviews with you because they had to, and because of the heritage brand behind you. Let's just take a Kendrick Lamar. Do you think Kendrick Lamar is sitting down with Ebro and Nadeska in any universe if Apple Music wasn't doing the halftime show, which is where he had to perform? No, that's not happening. Same thing with J. Cole. Well, J. Cole, I think he messes with Nadeska, and that's not to say that like Nadeska isn't, that's not to disrespect her. The point is that if Nadeska suddenly has a YouTube channel and she's got her own independent media company, I think a lot of people are not showing up, because they're looking at it like, yeah, you know, like I mess with you, but what am I getting here? I feel like the value exchange is not there. And that's where I think these guys are just like, yo, we put in the years and we were a part of this organization. We built these relationships and we expect them to reciprocate that, which is, what is reciprocating it really? Because it's your brand, Hot 97, that was doing a lot of the reciprocity. And once that's gone, what's left? They're going to have to grind it out like everybody else. And this is funny. This is even funnier because days before this, Ebro would tweet out and say, when that IG algo switched up, artists been struggling. That TikTok don't hit like it used to either. Twitter either. Now we gonna see who loves the work in real life. I hope he's also talking about his own stuff, because you just heard them talking about how, man, you know, these rappers get weird. People aren't trying to show up and do collab posts or interviews anymore. When these guys are phoning it in, literally, they have their own loyal audience, which I think they should tap into more. But them getting a bunch of guests, I don't really see that happening. But it's like I said, that it's not hitting for them anymore. So are we going to see them do the work to try to get motion online? And what is he talking about? IG algo switched up artists struggling. Like, there are more successful artists on TikTok and IG with new songs popping up. New songs that are doing tens of millions of streams every day. Maybe he's talking about mainstream artists that were used to, the same formulas, but yeah, real life work, nah, not really. I think real life work makes sense for artists that already had a fan base and had blew up. They haven't adopted because it's the younger acts, like the people in their teens, early 20s that grew up on this new social media that know how to use it to blow up and how to stay relevant. The old artists, they blew up in a different time. Like I said, even a Tyler, the Creator, he's somebody that blew up in a different time when Hot 97 and this type of stuff, like that helped you out. Same thing with the Uzi, you could say, even though Uzi was years after Odd Future. But these new acts, they know how to use this stuff. The old acts don't know or they don't want to. And that's understandable. But the old acts, they really just need to tap into more real life. And this is something that underground rappers have been doing for a decade now. These guys would tour the same cities, same middle of nowhere damn near. They'd be touring. They'd be making sure they took photos with fans all the time. I talk about, this is one of the things that I highlight most about the rapper Puya. Like, this guy would be touring 3 times a year, and they would be taking photos with everybody in the venue after the show. You know how much work that is? But doing that, when somebody just paid for a regular ticket, people feel like they got above and beyond when it comes to value. And now they still have that same fan base, a decade of people saying like, yo, this is my favorite rapper. So when them connections aren't hitting like they used to, then it's a difficult situation. And Ebro, he's still got Apple Music behind him, Beats One. Yeah, when people are telling you like, yo, give us more information, they're probably wondering, hey, is this interview for Beats and Apple, or is this interview for your platform? Because if it's for you, it's worth a lot less than Apple behind you. And I think that's understandable. Bootleg Kev is somebody that came from a radio background, had built connections in radio, had built relationships with artists, managers, etc. And he was nowhere near as big as Hot 97 was overall as a platform. Yet when he went independent and was doing his own thing, he's been able to consistently land guests without a problem. Maybe it's his setup. I don't know, because he's just one person too. So I will give them grace. It's very difficult to get 3 people that all have their own families, that have separate jobs in a singular location. That's hard, even though they live in the same city. Doing that consistently, it's pretty difficult. But Kev is somebody that they should be modeling after because he has not complained and he's consistently able to get good guests and people enjoy their time with him and his interviews do well. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.